Clint and Sean on Sack Head Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
Dude, we have to stop talking about guns when we go off the air.
Why?
Because this happens.
Listen, so, Patriot Ordnance Factory, official gun of Sack Head Radio.
Mm-hmm.
Not a big deal.
Can you say enough good things?
I can't. I really can't. I had the opportunity again to give one a ride, and God, it is just the smoothest. It is the best AR platform
weapon
system that I have ever had the privilege of firing. I really can't say enough about it. Look, I don't work for the company. I'm a huge believer in their product. They make just such a tremendous product with the innovations that they've made, and especially with the gas piston system and some of the patented things that they have incorporated into their guns. And it is just a very accurate, very smooth, flawlessly operating system. I mean, it is outstanding. I can't say enough about it. But Patriot Ordnance Factory, great company.
POF-USA.com.
Yep. Go to the website. I highly encourage you to check them out. But we have the posters in the office, autographed by the artist.
Not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
It's such an amazing poster.
So look, you can buy them on the site. Also, it won't be
the look on the Patriot's face, and I think we talked about this once before. And if you want to tell the story, you can, because
the Patriot's face in the poster where he's got the flag in the background is actually a United States Navy SEAL, and it's just so they have this Patriot series, and instead of having the musket, it's got a POF platform, and they make them in 223 and 308, and they make them for California legal also with the bullet button on there. But this is just a great operating firearm. It really is. It really is. Great products, good company, great company, American-made. Again, official gun of Sack Head Radio, Patriot Ordnance Factory.
Absolutely. Check them out. Tell them we sent you.
Tell them.
Even if you just go to their website and throw a little comment on there, just say, hey, Sack Head Radio sent us.
Yeah, or shoot them an email.
Yeah, absolutely. Check them out. Hey, question in the chat room was, who do you want over the least on Thanksgiving, John McCain or Karl Rove? I said Karl Rove because his face looks like a ham.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I am going to say who I would want over the least. I would want Karl Rove to come over. So John McCain least, and here's why. Because I respect John McCain's service, but I think he's a progressive wingnut now, and I wouldn't be able to keep my opinions to myself about him, whereas Karl Rove is just, he used to get beat up for his lunch money in school, I think. He looked like the original Elmer Fudd.
He does look like the original Elmer.
Like with the big tall head and the...
Listen, in all honesty, I'd probably pick McCain as long as we didn't talk politics.
How could you not talk politics?
I would ask him to tell me about his service. I'd be very thankful to him for his service, because that part of his life I still think is amazing.
I'd want to know about Karl Rove's time under the Bush administration.
That's a good one too. That's a toss-up. That is a toss-up.
Who would you want over more for Thanksgiving dinner? Barack Obama
or
Kim Jong-il? Or
I would have to go with
Kim.
I'd have to go with Barack Obama.
Really?
Yes.
You want Barack Obama to come over?
Yeah. Because I feel and we've talked about this before, as ideological different as we are, I'd still want to sit down and talk to him. And I would talk politics with him. I'd ruin everyone's Thanksgiving, and I'd bring it up right then and there.
Absolutely.
Middle of carving the turkey, I'd be like, so, Obamacare, huh? That was stupid. You know, if politically, for the country, everything, it was just a complete implosion. What were you thinking and why? What did you know? What didn't you know? How much did you know of your own legislation?
I would definitely want to have that conversation with him if there was some like truth gas in the air to make him actually tell you the truth, because he won't tell you the truth on that.
No, but I'd yell BS every time he said something that I thought was BS.
Unless he said,
I'd be like, dude, you're lying.
Unless he said, because
I don't care if you're Secret Service agents here, you're a liar. You're a liar face.
You're a douchebag. Big old douchebag. And you, Secret Service, you agree with his crap?
Well, you look at Dan Bongino, and the answer is no. So that kind of answers the question. But I think I would like to sit down, because I
would you have a beer with Barack Obama?
Yes.
You'd have a beer with him?
Yeah, because I'm not a person, and we've talked about this before, I'm not a person who would shut him out, or because I have a political difference. That I am a gentleman enough.
I would have a beer with him after the political discussion.
I had to have one during.
I wouldn't have one during.
You know, it'd be great, beer and shots, because eventually you'll start getting the truth.
No,
and I bet you I can outdrink him. No, but think about that. I would look.
Beer pong.
A game of beer pong.
Right, and every time he missed, he had to take a drink and tell the truth.
No, but I have no problem. I have no problem having a beer with somebody I disagree with, because I know I can do it in an intelligent manner. And I really think, as much as I disagree with him in politics and I despise him politically, I think that it would be an interesting conversation to have, because everything I've seen is I think he's kind of funny. I think he's got a good sense of humor.
He does. Look at Obamacare.
Exactly. But I think he would be as candid as he could without being quoted, if that makes sense. And I would push the beer to try to drain that honesty out a little bit more. To be like, all right, listen, we'll just play. We'll play a game of cards, and we'll play Go Fish, and whoever loses has to do a shot. And after about 5 or 6 rounds of Go Fish, I'd be like, all right, listen, you knew we couldn't keep our health care, right?
So basically, you'd have 20 aces. You'd be like, Jeff Ace. You'd be like, Go Fish. You'd be like, Fish got my wish. Go Fish.
I'd be the only guy able to fix the deck in a Go Fish game.
Wait, did you just ask me for 20 aces?
Yep.
Go Fish.
He's like, do you have a joker? And why is my picture on this?
Here. Go Fish.
So, speaking of political differences, which one do you want to talk about first? The Iran deal or Senate going nuclear, as far as knocking out the filibuster for certain aspects of conversation?
First, I want to give some word history.
Okay.
Reed. Did you know Reed, the name Reed? What? It's Latin. It's the Latin root word. It's from the Latin root word jalapeno, meaning ball sack. So Harry Reid. What? That's a piece of history most people don't know. Look, you can Google it. Harry Reid's name, Reed. His name Reed.
Just don't Google.
Latin root word. Jalapeno means
right.
Ball sack.
Right. Just don't.
Harry Reid. What's the problem?
I thought Harry meant wrinkled.
No.
Oh.
No.
Shriveled?
No.
Without?
I just want to tickle under his chin and go.
So, there's so much wrong with what's being said right now. So your choice, Iran deal or Senate going nuclear?
Senate going nuclear.
Okay.
What do you think I was making fun of Harry Reid for?
Because we're on the air?
Otherwise, I would have talked about John Kerry.
Oh, okay. Speaking of being for it before he was against it. So
hang on. The Ticket Show wants to talk about the Senate.
Ooh.
So let's talk about the Senate.
All right, let's go with the Senate. So last week the Senate went nuclear, essentially eliminating the filibuster for certain aspects of conversation,
for appointees.
For appointees. For now. And I think it's funny, though. You look at the...
Well, they were always for it. They were always for that option. Remember when the Republicans had the power, the Democrats said, yes, you should do it.
The American people want less partisanship in this town, but everyone in this chamber knows that if the majority chooses to end the filibuster, if they choose to change the rules and put an end to democratic debate, then the fighting and the bitterness and the gridlock will only get worse.
That was then Senator Obama.
Yeah, see, he was agreeing with...
He was for it before he was against it before he was for it. He's the anti-Kerry. Reid, same thing. Biden,
He was the anti-Christ? Is that what you said?
Kerry.
Oh, I thought you said...
Anti-Kerry.
I'm sorry. I think I have one of my headphones off.
So it's funny how short-sighted and one of the a friend of mine who is probably one of my favorite political people in the world outside of you turned around and said, "Oh, I can't wait for the Republicans to get power back in the Senate."
You know what? And they might. But look, Barry back then was a different cat, right?
Mr. Sotero?
Right. Barry was...
Barry from the block. He was just Barry from the block back then.
Barry, yeah. Barry was cool, right?
Right.
Barry was, he understood government, and he wants
the best
for the nation. He got it.
Well, he was all about organizing a community, and you can't do that without a good conversation.
Exactly. Or without an iron grip.
Right.
Either way.
Which you can have a conversation about how tight the grip is.
Right. You can have a conversation about it when you're not the one wearing the gauntlet.
Right.
But all of a sudden, when you are, you can close it and have an iron grip. What is so difficult to understand?
So this is for appointees now, which is amazing that Reid, Biden, all that, they were all against it, but now, hey, it's a great idea. The damn minority, that crazy 10% in government, which I tweeted out. So essentially what the Senate Democrats just did is silenced a minority group in this country on certain issues. Okay. I didn't know we could do that anymore. I didn't know that was acceptable to silence any minority group on any issue at any time.
You can't. There's laws against silencing minority groups.
Except for in our Senate, which it's just a parliamentary procedure.
They're not really a minority group. They're mostly white guys.
No, they're still politically...
They're mostly white guys.
Politically minority, though.
But they're white guys.
But
listen,
being
they are mostly white guys. If most Republicans were any other race, then it would clearly be racist. But you can silence white people. Stop talking. Where's Ken? Let's let him come in. You can't talk right now. Listen, you're on a white guy timeout.
It is
I just buried you. Like Barry Obama. I just did.
I'm out. Anyhow.
That's what Reid did, is it not?
Right. It is. That's exactly what it is.
On a white guy timeout.
And here's the thing, is we talked about immediately. This is just awesome. I can't wait till we play this back on a clip. We all know what the end game is here. They want to start jamming courts full of liberals, and they don't want
to jam the D.C. court full of liberals
specifically.
They are the court that rules on executive orders and so forth.
Yes.
And it's the second most powerful court in the nation.
Yeah.
And the Republicans were stonewalling. They were filibustering some of these nominations, and so absolutely, of course they want that. Now they won't be able to pack it full of liberals, which means old Barry half white can issue these. What did I say that was not true? Why are you giving me that look? Why is sweat beading on your forehead and now beginning to drip down the front of your face?
Because I had a jalapeno.
Sometimes I walk the line. So Barry half white, just basically he can issue whatever executive order he wants, and the courts will uphold it.
Right.
As soon as the Republicans in there, it'll overturn it. By the way, he is half black. Mm-hmm. So why don't conservatives start referring to him as a white president just to piss him off? If the liberals can say he's the first black president, why is he? That was
well, because that was Clinton.
Right. So why is he able to say, well, I just choose to be this, and so I'm the first black president? What if conservatives choose to recognize his lighter side. Not like lighter, like lighthearted comedic side, but like.
Well, and it's funny
what
too.
if he in fact is another white president?
The uber left, and especially those who make money off the race baiting, you'll notice when he does something that aggravates them, that comes out quick. And I've heard that a few times from people that just love to play that race card into it. And all of a sudden, then he's not the real first black president. He's only half black. And okay, so now you're trying to walk it back. He doesn't represent all the black guys in this country anymore, or all the black people in this country anymore.
Right. So at that moment they choose. You know what that is? The extreme left, when he does something they don't like, he says, you know what? He did that because that's the white side of him that made that decision.
Well, then I went further and say, what difference does it make what color he is? But in 200 years or less, we're all going to be light brown anyhow. So that's just the way it's going to happen.
It's such a hodgepodge.
I know.
People anyway. Why does it matter? This is why I refuse on those race forms.
Yeah.
I refuse to put anything that I check the other box
and put American.
I do.
I know. I do too.
Hyphenated nation. We've talked about this before.
But it's amazing to me that there is that plan in place, and people that don't look at the overall picture with.
Hang on. Hold that thought.
Okay.
I had a very amazing epiphany.
Okay, we're going to get back to the whole. Okay,
if Obama considers himself African American, was he then perhaps really born in Kenya?
You really going to start this?
Wait a second.
Oh, man.
Is that an admission?
Oh, the Uber. Oh, my God. They think he's Kenyan and he hasn't produced a little bit.
African American, is he not admitting guilt that he was in fact born in Kenya? I'm just throwing it out there, folks. I don't make the facts here.
Oh, wait for the email to start now. Oh, your birthers. Oh, Lord. So you get back to the nuclear option that the Dems just, and like you said, they're going to start trying to sack the Washington D.C. federal court. Who rules on the executive orders? Okay, we know that's their plan. We know why, because he's going to start using executive orders to try to fix the Obamacare mess and try to bolster it, pass gun control more and more, which, by the way, I thought it was funny. Charlie Rangel this week said, why doesn't he just try to do everything by executive order and bypass Congress as much as humanly possible, which is funny because that was the same thing that he said he was going to do a couple of years ago, even though this week when he was speaking in San Francisco, he actually called out a guy who said, why don't you just do the amnesty thing through executive order? And he said, if I could, I would, but we're a nation of laws, and I have to respect that.
I have to respect it as much as because there's no way people would let me get away with that. Otherwise, I don't really respect the laws of this nation. I pretty much do what I want, or as much as I think I can get away with. I just translated that answer.
It's exactly what it was. But now I look at how scared Democrats are that Obamacare is going to burn them in 2014, that they want to get it's such short-sighted politics that they know they need to do this now for him to try to fix Obamacare. We're going to go to the single-payer system anyhow if we don't scrap this completely. But they're willing to sacrifice, in, say, 2 years when the roles reversed, or 2014 when the roles reversed, and all of a sudden they could very well be the minority, especially if Obamacare gets worse and worse and worse.
Why do you keep bringing race into this?
Stop it. Because I have to.
I'll be clear, we are not birthers.
We are not birthers. I know. We have to clarify everything because our sarcasm just doesn't bleed through the radio like it should. We're still going to get the email. Thanks. I have to field all that crap. And by field it, I mean I have to hit delete.
And that's my point.
I could care less.
Because we don't care.
Because it makes me laugh.
Exactly.
But you look at that, and they're going to turn around and Stick It shows up in the chat room. Your sarcasm is fantastic. I know you weren't birthers. Thank you very much. But they're going to turn around, and in 2 years, they're going to be crying about the same parliamentary change, rule change, of we don't have a voice because of that thing, and I wasn't here when it was passed, or I didn't necessarily want it, blah, 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 blah. But they are so scared right now with Obamacare destroying them in 2014. We talked about with Tammy last week. They had that meeting, the Dems had that meeting 2 weeks ago where they lit the president up about Obamacare. Like, what in the hell? I can't run on this. They had people who aren't running for re-election turning around and saying, I'll vote for a Republican plan right now if it fixes this. And I think those are the people who are like, hey, I get nothing to lose. I got to protect my constituents, whether we agree or disagree. Why? Those are the people who are starting to come out of the woodwork and say, oh, this whole thing's a freaking train wreck. Now we're going to change the parliamentary order. It doesn't matter what it does to us in 2 years. It's right now we need it because that's the only way we're going to get anything passed. And I think they see the writing on the wall. It's a big.
But the Republicans are missing an opportunity. Even since Reid did this, they still don't have to agree on things like cloture.
No.
They can very easily gum up the works and say, hey, you know what? Fine. Screw you. Now it's our turn to play the game. And play the game. But they didn't do it, and they agreed to closure like the very next vote or two.
Right.
So the Republicans miss an opportunity there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got to be the bigger people.
And that's something I've talked before. We got to get
Republicans French?
No. Well, honestly,
Is there a big white flag being raised? Is that the new Republican?
We're too nice for our own good.
I think is waving that, right?
Well, yeah, but that's because
maybe it should be
his white flag is merely to signal the nurse that his diaper needs a change. Now.
Okay, I didn't know. Maybe he was trying to land an aircraft or something.
That shows you though how bad, and we haven't hit anything. A friend of mine who's an attorney that does healthcare and has specifically studied Obamacare said this is nothing. The reason it's bad now is, okay, it is what it is. The website's bad. Nobody can enroll. It's destroying, and he's not making light of it, but it's destroying millions of people's private health insurance. Wait till the employer mandate comes out. Wait till that hits, and wait till you see how destroyed our system's going to become. And there's a reason why open enrollment next year is moved after the midterms. It got moved instead of just being extended because it's going to be a humongous disaster. And this vote, and a lot of people aren't even making a big deal out of this vote, is huge. It shows how fearful the Democrats are of how much worse it's going to get.
Mainstream media is not making a big deal of this vote.
But a lot of people aren't.
Pay attention and understand, know the big deal of the vote.
Absolutely.
And I think even the liberals understand the big deal of the vote because they understand that things are going to change.
Yeah.
Guess what? You may have this filibuster thing in place now for the D.C. court, but guess what? If we get power, stand by for the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're not turning the rules back.
Yeah. And we're not going to do the nice.
Came and say, oh well, let's give them filibuster because it was wrong to be taken away, and we should blah 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 cuckoo.
Oh yeah.
That was a McCain quote.
Matter
of fact, do you have the clip?
I do. Let me see. I do have McCain's clip here somewhere. This was, when did he say it? He said it last week.
He said it a couple. Yeah, the clip about.
Here it is.
Yep. Yeah, that was the one I was talking about. So.
The worst one is I had to stall to play it. So I think that's a good sign for the conservatives in 2014, but what we have to do is really
take a break right now.
We have to take a break, but conservatives really have to stay on this. Fine. When we come back from our break, our good friend Ken is going to join us on the air, and I have a brand new intro for him that I spent a lot of time this week working on, so we hope you absolutely join us for that.
So if Ken's coming on, does that mean we're going to be on a white timeout?
No, because unlike the Harry Reid people,
Reid meaning
Harry, right? Ken actually will let us talk. If we can talk over his laughter, we'll be able to say something.
If we're funny enough.
347-205-9399 is the phone number. We'll be back in 3 here on the Sack Heads Radio Show. Kind of is.